Hello there, welcome to the Perfume Experience. Welcome to a special video, and today we are going to talk to you about the Middle Eastern houses. So basically we're going to rank these Middle Eastern houses because this is one of those videos that has been requested to me a lot. I listen to and reply back to a lot of the comments that you do. So a lot of you have kind of DM'd me or written in comments saying that Rodney, please go ahead and list the Middle Eastern houses so that we know which houses are good, which ones to avoid, which have the best quality, which are the price points, which best fragrances to get from these houses and so forth, right? So then I thought about how do I go about creating this particular list, because there are so many Middle Eastern houses to go by, right? So what I've decided is from 2023 to 2024, as of now I've done about 300 plus reviews. So I have reviewed quite a few Middle Eastern houses. So based on that particular knowledge, based on the houses that I've tried, based on the experience that I've had, I have listed a few of the houses, and I thought let's go ahead and do them in a slightly different way. Now if I were to list all of the fragrance houses and say that this is good for value for money, this is 2 ticks for let's say quality and so forth, then the list would get very long and you would not really get at a conclusion, because most of you have specific questions like which is the best quality in a Middle Eastern house, which is the most value for money fragrance house, which is the most accurate clones, which has got the best presentation, and so forth, right? So I've listed 10 questions that would probably answer your queries. Now these are definitely my personal opinions, and I'm sure that some of you would not agree with some of these things, but that's the way nature of fragrances are. It's subjective, so the difference of opinion would always be there. I've tried to do the best possible way in which to summarize this particular video, and on that note, let's get going. You're watching the Perfume Experience. My name is Rodney. Let's get started right after this intro. All right, so first of all, if you look at the number of houses, you have Paris Corner, you have Pandora, you have Rasasi, you have Armaf, you have Ardal Zafran, you have Vatenia, and so many houses, right? Now what I've tried to do in this particular video is, like I said, we're going to stick to 10 awards on this particular video, and we're going to rank this video basis on those awards. Now I have not included some houses in this particular list like Ardal Zafran, Al Vatenia, Blue Lavan, all of these, because they are mostly one fragrance wonders, or we probably have experienced just 1 or 2 fragrances from them, so it would not be right to include those particular houses. So on that note, let's get going with this particular video, and I'm going to use my phone as a reference point because I've kept my notes on this particular device, and I'm going to use this because there are going to be about 10 awards, so I would want to use them, right? So the first award for best quality, right? So in Middle Eastern houses, when you think about best quality, quality kind of varies from many houses, right? So some fragrances have got alcohol blast, some fragrances are a little harsh on the side, but when you think about quality, quite a few fragrance houses come to your mind. For example, we think about Armaf, or we can think about Rasasi, we can think about Afnan, all Ar Almain, all as good houses to look at in terms of quality, right? Now one of the houses that comes to my mind when we think about Middle Eastern house for quality, pure quality, is basically this. This is Prestige Arabia Hypnotic Oud. For example, Prestige Arabia, take any fragrance house from fragrances from the house of Prestige Arabia, or rather Arabia, and you will notice that the fragrance quality is like top notch. It in fact beats, I would say in my opinion, beats any of the other houses that are there, because it comes at a good budget friendly price point, say about 2,500 rupees to 3,000 rupees maximum, or 3,500. Now within that particular price point, whatever fragrance that they offer, the quality that they offer is absolutely stunning, because you do get designer like quality. Now performance might vary in some fragrances because some are made in UAE, some are made in France and so forth, but purely from a quality point of view, no harshness, no alcohol blast, very smooth, very neat, very good transitions, just like how designer fragrances would be. And that award for best quality, in my opinion, for 2023-24 goes to Prestige Arabia. Now, moving on from best quality to the next category of award, and that would be for performance. Okay, now I'm answering kind of the most important questions right off, right? The performance is very subjective. Now performance is where fragrances last long, they project better, or long lasting, all of those things, right? Now every house has got some hits, some misses. There are some fragrances that definitely perform better, and some not so much, but there are some brands who have consistently been able to give good performance. Now if you think think about that ratio, if you think about Paris Corner and Pandora, they're at the lower spectrum because most of the time you get very low fragrance performance from them. You get about 3 hours, 4 hours, or sometimes even lesser than that. And there are some houses like Latafa and so forth which will give you 5 hours, 6, some, less than that mostly, right? But there are certain houses which do give you very, very good performance. Like for example, Dumont would always give you more than 6 hours plus. But I would say that the winner for this particular category of performance, purely from a price sensitive point of view, when you think about price tags under let's say 4,000 rupees or so, in that particular category, if you think about best performance, I think that particular prize goes to Ahmad Al Maghrabi for best performance. Take any fragrances from them: Blue by Ahmad, Zellini, Blue Oud, Ignite Oud, Latani, Bin Sheikh, that video will also come soon. But if you look at all of these fragrances, one thing is given, which is the performance. You do get fantastic performance. There is very minimal chances when the performance is not on par, be it the long lasting, be it the projection, be it the high concentration that they've been able to offer. I think this is one of those houses that offers very, very good value for money when it comes to definitely performance. So yes, this for the best performance for 23-24 goes to the house of Ahmad Al Maghrabi. Next, let's talk about value for money. Now, value for money, or the best value for money houses, these are basically fragrances which when you buy them, okay, no matter what is the price that you pay, you get very crude inspirations from them. You get very close to the OG, you get good quality, and overall you are definitely satisfied by the buy that you've had, right? Now, this particular topic is very sensitive because when you think about lower end houses like let's say Maison Alhambra or Pandora, you don't get value for money, though they are very, very low in price point. Like most of the fragrances that they have, they are low in price point, but only 1 or 2 of them would be really, really good and they stand out. But when you think about very expensive houses like Armaf and so, they are very expensive, but most of the fragrances do stand out for the value of money that you kind of pay. Now, that's a similar case with a lot of couple of other brands as well. But if I were to talk about my experience, I think there are 2 brands that come to me when it comes to value for money, which I think anything that you have bought from them has definitely been a hit. Okay, now for me, that 2 house is basically, one is from the house of Kadlaj. Okay, now we've tried Kadlaj, Shiaka, Silver, Blue. This is Artistic Epoch, and I have a couple of more let's say Gate also. When you think about anything that you've got from Kadlaj, one, it's very, very close to the OG. You get very good performance, and it really is good in terms of lasting, and the value for money that you pay is really on spot. Like for example, Artistic Epoch is fantastic when you think about a Blue Invictus Victory Elixir, alternate. So no alcohol blast, again, very well done, right? That is one of the houses. So one winner is here. Now the second house that I think is absolutely fantastic when it comes to value for money is Rasasi. Okay, now Rasasi is, be it Fatan, be it Shura, be it Darij, be it Ice, be it Avas. Take any of those fragrances and they are absolutely value for money. Even though you pay about 4,500 rupees, you get really, really good value for money. And when we talk about value for money, I'm talking about specifically number of fragrances that you buy and number of fragrances that are really value for money. So the ratio is much, much higher when you think about brands like these 2. So whatever we have experienced from Kadlaj has not been a downside at all. Everything's been a very, very good fragrance. Same thing goes for me for Rasasi as well. Anything that we have bought from Rasasi and Explode has always been good value for money, especially when you think about an Indian mindset where you want long lasting, where you want a good signature scent profile, and where it's a good mass pleasing fragrance, then Rasasi definitely hits that particular point. So 3 awards done. So most value for money 23-24 for me is Kadlaj and of course Rasasi. Right, the next collection of award is basically for a brand which has got the highest collection of dupes. Okay, now when you think about this, there are I think only 2 brands that come to my mind which have got the most variety of collection of fragrances that are possible. One is of course Fragrance World, but the other one is of course Latafa. And for this particular fragrance award, I would like to give it to Latafa. And here is Latafa. So I'm taking one for Latafa. So Latafa, in my opinion, is definitely hands down has got the most widest range of dupes possible that you can think about. Any brand, any niche house, anything at all you want to look at a collection of fragrance, Latafa has been there, and they, I think, really have a good hold. I do think Fragrance World also has got a good amount of collection, but if you think the number of hits versus misses, I think Latafa has got more hits than misses when you think about Fragrance fragrance world. So the fragrance award for the most number of dupes available is definitely going for Latafa. All right, so the next award is for the best budget-friendly brand. Okay, now this is a category of awards where the price band is lower, let's say about less than 2,000 rupees or let's say 1,500, 1,600 rupees. Within that category, if you were to pick up one particular brand and you have to buy a fragrance, which brand actually offers the most value, okay, or where you would actually be able to get a more realistic, closer vault where you have good presentation and definitely a good quality of juice. Now, the contenders in this particular list are very few, like if you think about Paris Corner, Pandora, Maison Alhambra, and then of course you can think about Ardal Zafran and all of that. But if you think about the lot of the fragrance houses, especially in the new category of fragrance houses, especially when you think about budget, for me, this particular award definitely goes out to Maison Alhambra for any of their range of fragrances. When you think about 1,200, 1,300 rupees at you want 100 ml and you would get a good alt, definitely you can think about Maison Alhambra, be it the Tom Ford series or be it the Carolina Herrera series that they have, or the Afro Leather, any of the series of fragrances that you can think about, you definitely get a very good value for money. So when you think about a budget price point, less than 1,500 rupees, one of the brands that you can buy mostly and don't have to regret is definitely Maison Alhambra. So the next award is basically for best presentation. Now, best presentation, I think all Middle Eastern houses are either, you can definitely say that they're one of the best when it comes to presentations. They have some of the best presentations that are available in the market, be it tacky, be it wacky or whatever it is, but definitely they offer good presentations. And I think over a period of time, I think if you really look at good presentations, I think Latafa and Fragrance World really fight it out. Now, Fragrance World, for example, if you think about Spectre Ghost, or if you think about Zimaya's, let me show you Zimaya's Sharaf Club, also very, very good presentation, no doubt about it. But on the whole, I think the way Latafa has been doing this, I think it deserves to win. And I think the best presentation awards, I think definitely goes down to Latafa for me, because Latafa has been really, really very, very good when it comes to presentations, be it the pizza that we have here, or be it the Pride series, or be it just their regular bottles like Al Nashama Caprice, or any of the fragrances. I think these are the people who really took up the entire designer fragrance presentation, all of that to a whole new level. And this particular series, I think there is also another one which comes with lights and all of that. So when you open up, you actually have presentations with light. Now, this is actually very, very sturdily, very well built kind of a presentation. And this bottle is super, super heavy. This is just one example. This is just pizza. But I'm just giving you a heads up that, Latafa really does work really well when it comes to making presentations. So the best presentation, I think, would be for Latafa. Now, the best award for best inspiration. Now, these are basically brands which are closest to the OG. Now, when you think about this particular category, now whether it is Latafas or whether it is Fragrance World or Armafs and all of that, if you think about it, Latafas are more hits and then misses, but Fragrance World has got more misses than hits. And when you think about all of the other elements, let's say, like Afnan or, all of that, the closest to the OG, in my opinion, has been basically two brands which have come very, very close to this. One definitely has to be Kadlaj. Now, for anything that we've tried from the house of Kadlaj has been extremely close to the OG in terms of how they smell. So one is definitely Kadlaj that I would say. The second I would say is Zimaya. Now, whether it is Zimaya's Sharaf blend, or whether it is the Club, or whether it is Wajood, which I'm trying out, which is basically a Rosin de Mateo No. 5 alternate, or whether when you think about Happy Oud or anything as such, I think they have fantastic fragrances which are more closer to OG than other houses. Okay, now both these houses, Kadlaj and I would say Zimaya, new houses, but if you think about the number of fragrances that they offer are much, much lesser compared to others. But in terms of how closer they are to the OG, I think they are rock solid, fantastic, especially when you think about Zimaya, when you think about Sharaf blend, when you think about Angel Share alternate, it's done so very well. And that way, even Aventus, even the Club, which is an Aventus Absolute, is also a fantastic oil to look at. So I would say this best inspiration when you think about a regular series which is under 3,000 to 3,500 rupees category, I would comfortably give it to Zimaya and Kadlaj. The ninth award, like I said, is for best inspiration, and this particular inspiration I would talk to you about premium houses, and in this case I would say this particular award, like I said, definitely goes down to Al Armain. Al Armain's, be it amber edition or the tobacco edition or any of those editions that you have, whether it is tobacco Veni clone or the Baccarat Rouge clone, all of these are done really fantastically beautiful, and these are very, very high clones. And I would say that when you think about premium segment of inspirations which are closer to the 4,000 rupees plus category, the award goes to definitely Al Armain. Unfortunately, I don't hold a bottle of Al Armain at this point of time with me, but I think definitely from wherever I have tried, experimented this particular house, I think they are high quality, long lasting, superb in terms of its performance, and the quality of juice quality is just phenomenal. And I think for overall, if you think about how close they are to the OG, rock solid when it comes to whether it is the amber edition or whether it's the tobacco vanilla edition, all of them are fantastic, and I think that award goes to Al Armain. Now the award is for best new brand. Now this is something that we experience in this particular industry a lot. We see a lot of new houses coming by. Dumont, Ardal, Zafran, Nassim, Maison Alhambra also was relatively new this year. So plus there is Dama Perfumes, Al Watania, so many new houses, Grandeur Relight, so many of them keep coming. But then we don't really have a lot of variety of fragrances from them. And if I had to select one particular brand which has got good price point, which has got good fragrances, and which actually got a good value for money this particular year, and if you think about the best new brand, I think that award can definitely go to Nassim. Okay, now Nassim fragrances are officially in India. It's a Middle Eastern brand, but they still offer fantastic quality of fragrances at a very, very good price point, and no matter what you buy from them, most of the fragrances are really, really good, so you can't really go wrong. So whether it's Ocean Enigma, whether it's Lost in the Woods, whether it is Summer 69, so many fragrances, and they are really value for money because they bring good projection, they bring good performance, scent quality is good, and also of course alcohol free. So that's another thing, water-based fragrances, these are really, really good. So the best new brand I would say is Nassim. Alright, so the last award in this particular series is for Best Blind Buy Brand. Now, when you think about blind buy, you are looking at basically fragrances that you can buy from these houses. Even though if they are expensive or not, you would most likely get a very good quality of fragrance. Its quality, it's good, its performance is good, scent profile is good, projection is good, and it is pretty good in terms of the OG as well. So you do get extremely good value for money and a brand that you can't really go wrong. So it's not like you buy something from them and you are regretting saying, why did I buy this, it's not good or something like that. That does not happen mostly with these brands, right? That's the category of award for Best Blind Buy Brand. Now for me, there are two brands that come into my mind which you can completely buy and you don't really have to worry about it. One is definitely Rasasi. I feel Rasasi is one of those brands which has got very, very high ratio of getting things right. Be it Fatan, be it Avas, be it Avas Ice, be it Shura, Darij, or any of these fragrances that you pick up from them, you don't really end up getting a subpar fragrance as such. Most of the time what you buy is extremely good value for money. Now the other brand that definitely comes to my mind is Armaf. Okay, so now for example, Armaf's Club de Nuit Intense is one of those series that is absolutely right, and even the previous times also, if you look at fragrances like Tag Me or any of those fragrances that they have from them, mostly is good. Now if you look at the newer series that they have had, like the Untold, okay, the Milestone, or any of those are good as well. Even the new Armaf, Club Oud or Pressure, all of them are fantastic fragrances, but you do pay a much higher premium of price for those particular fragrances, but you do get a much better presentation, you get a much higher quality of juice, you get a whole different experience of even buying a Middle Eastern fragrances. So though you spend more, you don't really go wrong with your purchase, and the same thing goes with, I would say, also with Rasasi. Now that is not typically the case with other brands. For example, when you think about Ahmad al-Maghrabi, that can't be the case because Ahmad al-Maghrabi leans a lot toward Middle Eastern type, and if you don't like Middle Eastern thing, you can kind of get it wrong. Now think about Latafa on Fragrance World, there the performance might not be close, or sometimes the scent profile might not be close. So again, there are misses. Now if you think about Paris Corner, Pandora, performance issues, all of those are there. So overall, if I were to look at two houses that can get it right, is definitely Armaf and Rasasi. You might also also want to consider Afnan as well, but I think Afnan does not have a lot of Afnan especially does not come very close to the OG. They deviate from the scent profile with their own slight twist to those particular fragrances, but otherwise I think they are also a good option. But mostly I would go with Armaf and Rasasi. Now that's what I thought about listing out or ranking all of the Middle Eastern houses. And if you like this particular video, do hit the like button, subscribe and share, and do comment and tell me what you agree with and what you don't agree with. It's completely fine. It's very subjective, and I'm sure that I'm willing to take any of the feedback that you have to give me. And if we can do the same list in the next year as well, and if you like the video, do give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends. So I'll see you in another video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.